Okay.
Good evening, all. I hope you are able to see the screen and my voice is audible. Can you please confirm me that?
Yes.
Right. Thank you. Right. So I welcome you all once again to the batch 7 of online live training on Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, and Terraform training, where will be the demo session 2 as part of free demo sessions. Yesterday, we have completed demo session 1. And today we are going to have demo session 2, where we are going to discuss some of the details related to the basic understanding before you move to Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, and Terraform. So in this session, we are going to see a couple of things. So let me tell you the agenda for this session. The agenda for this session is like this. We are going to see the syllabus again in a nutshell. Yesterday, I have given a detailed description of the complete syllabus, but today I'll go through in a nutshell. And then what are the additional tools that I am going to cover as part of this training that will also be discussed. And the end-to-end projects and their details will also be discussed. And then as part of this demo session, we are going to talk about two important things which will act as a basic before we move to Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, and Terraform. So that's something which we are going to see is Maven, which is a build tool for Java-based projects. So we'll understand what is Maven, why do we need Maven, how Maven helps us to build the Java projects. All these things will be discussed as part of Maven build tool. And then we are going to see how to deploy a Java-based project onto the Tomcat server. Okay, onto the Tomcat web server. So we are going to see how to set up Tomcat, how to manually deploy a Java-based application onto the Tomcat server. So these two are the important things that we are going to discuss or that we are going to cover as part of today's session. And once that is discussed, I will close this session by talking about the registration details, after which I'll be taking the questions from your end if there are any. So as you all know, this training will be focused from the basics to the advanced level. Even if you don't have any idea about Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, and Terraform, it is my responsibility to take you from the scratch to the advanced level, whatever best that is possible, I'll be delivering as part of this training program. So this training has been divided into 4 modules. Module 1 will be focused on Jenkins. Module 2 will be focused on Docker. Kubernetes will be discussed as a module 3. And Terraform will be discussed as a module 4. These are the 4 important modules that I am going to cover as part of this training. That is batch 7 of Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, and Terraform training. So the prerequisites in order to join this training program is you should have a basic knowledge on AWS cloud, especially creation of instances, connecting to the instances, creation of VPC, creation of S3 buckets. Like these, if you have the basic understanding about the AWS cloud or any other cloud for that matter, that would be highly encouraged to join this training program. And the other prerequisite is the basics of Linux. So you should have a basic idea about how to create files, how to create directories, how to give permissions for the files and directories. This kind of fundamentals, if you know in Linux, you are completely eligible to join this training program, and you will be ensured that the training will run on a smooth pace if you have these 2 prerequisites readily available in your hand. Right. The 4 modules that I'm going to cover are Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, and Terraform. So in Jenkins, which is module 1, we are going to start understanding Jenkins from the fundamentals. That is, we'll try to understand what is meant by CI/CD process. And then we will see what are the different CI/CD tools that we have. And then we will talk about how Jenkins is going to helpful in order to do the CI/CD process, or in order to achieve the CI/CD process. So in order to achieve that CI/CD process, we are going to use different concepts in CI/CD as a Jenkins tool. So we are going to talk about that. And as part of it, we are going to talk about different types of jobs. One is called as a freestyle project. Second one is called as a pipeline project. And the third one, I forgot to mention, which is a multi-branch pipeline. This will also be covered as part of this training. And then we will talk about the advanced things in Jenkins, that is master and slave architecture, RBAC, disaster recovery, like these advanced things we are going to discuss. And by the end of Jenkins module, you will be doing these 3 projects. 1 project is based on freestyle. 2 projects are based on pipeline, where we are going to write the scripts and we are going to automate the build and deployment process. So these 3 projects we are going to cover as part of Jenkins module. And then we are also going to talk about the next module, which is Docker. So we will start understanding Docker from the basics. That is, what is containerization, how containerization has come, what is the difference between monolithic and microservice architecture, how will we deploy a microservice applications using Docker, what is meant by a Docker image, how to create a Docker image, how to create a container using the Docker image, how to write Docker file, what are the components that are there in the Docker file, which are specifically called as DSL keywords. DSL keywords. And then we'll also be talking about Docker volumes, networks, Docker compose, Docker swarm. That's where we are going to end the understanding of Docker. And by the end of Docker module, you are going to do 5 different projects. these are the ones that you are going to do. So we are going to see how to deploy a Java-based application in the Docker container, Python-based application, and Spring Boot Java application in the container. And then as far as Docker Compose is concerned, we are going to do a couple of projects related to Docker Compose. One project is basically a 2-tier application, and the other project is a 3-tier application. And then we will also see load balancing concept as part of Docker, which is one of the main features which many of the training institutes have missed out explaining this. How can we achieve load balancing using or for the Docker containers? So once we understand the Docker, based on the fundamentals what we have built from module 1 and module 2, that is Jenkins and Docker, we are going to advance to the module 3, which is Kubernetes. So before I talk about Kubernetes, it's very important that without having an idea about Docker, it is impossible to understand Kubernetes. It will be very complex. It's not impossible. It will be very complex. It will be tough. So that's why we are going in a structured format. So first we will see Jenkins, then we will see Docker, then we will go with Kubernetes. So in Kubernetes, we are going to cover multiple concepts. So almost 30 to 35 different concepts we are going to cover. So these are all the concepts which I have already discussed in the last session. So I'll not go into the details of all these things again. But the most important thing which we follow during Kubernetes classes is all our demonstrations will be performed on EKS cluster, which is available as part of AWS Cloud. So we are going to create an EKS cluster, that is Elastic Kubernetes Service. And then we are going to do all our demonstrations, at least not in the first 2 days, but from the 3rd day probably, we are going to do all our basics or all our demonstrations on the EKS cluster only, which is pure real-time thing. And as part of Kubernetes, we are also going to cover the monitoring aspect of the servers. That is by using Prometheus and Grafana and node exporter, which comes inbuilt when we are talking about Prometheus and Grafana. Along with that, we are also going to see the alerting using Grafana, how to set up alerts using Grafana. That also we are going to see. And by the end of Kubernetes, we are going to do 4 to 5 projects. So one project is based on stateful set. One project is based on PV and PVC, that is by dynamic provisioning of volumes using storage class. And then we are going to deploy a microservice application with ingress controller. And here we are going to do 3 projects. I mean, they are very small scale projects, but very important to understand. So these 5 projects we are going to cover as part of, by the end of Kubernetes. And then we'll be talking about Terraform. Although Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes has nothing to do with Terraform. Terraform is completely an individual tool which is used to automate the creation of infrastructure. So we will see multiple things on how to create the infrastructure, especially focused on AWS cloud. I'm not going to talk on any other cloud. So Terraform on AWS, so to be specific, because we are going to see how to create the resources in the AWS cloud using Terraform. And by the end of Terraform, you are going to do a couple of projects. One project is how to integrate Jenkins with Terraform, and another project is how to automate the creation of infrastructure using Terraform at a large scale. I'll be giving you an architecture diagram, and based on the architecture diagram, you are going to implement the project. Anyway, that architecture, I'll let you know. I'll show you once we move to that point of our training. And apart from these, there are additional tools which will be covered in this training program. One is Maven and Tomcat, which we are going to see it today. And then Nexus, SonarCube, and security tools such as Trivy and OWASP. Logging and monitoring tool, which is EFK. And then service mesh, which is, service mesh tools, which is Istio, which is very, very important. And nowadays it is being asked in almost all of the openings. And then PagerDuty, it is not so commonly asked, but it's good if you know one kind of alerting tool other than setting up alerts using Grafana. So that's why we have worked with PagerDuty also, or I have included PagerDuty in this particular batch. And if time permits, we are also going to talk about OpenSearch, which is again one of the best tools for Kubernetes part. Right. So these are the additional tools which we are going to cover during this training program. And then there are a couple of end-to-end projects which we are going to do on a large scale. 4 end-to-end projects we are going to do. So 2 projects related to microservice application. 1 project is related to blue-green deployment, and another project is related to a kind of a clone applications, like either an Amazon clone, Netflix clone, or Hotstar clone, or anything, whichever code that is available for that time. We will take that code and we'll do the deployment. Okay. So this training will be covering or will be providing you the knowledge of at least 4 to 5 years of experience candidate. So whatever the knowledge that is possessed by 4 to 5 years of candidate, experience candidate, the same set of knowledge or say similar level of knowledge will be given to you, especially with respect to these 4 tools, that is Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, and Terraform. I can only assure about these 4 tools because these are the things which I am going to cover in this batch. So other tools or other clouds, I cannot guarantee that because that's not something which is the agenda of this training or this particular batch. Apart from these 4 projects, on my YouTube channel, there are a couple of projects which are available. Those projects will also be given to you as a practice case scenarios, and you will also be asked to complete these projects. Okay, so you can see there are some 6 to 7 projects that are available. So you are going to do all of these projects during our training program or at the end of training program. That also I'll let you know when to do which project or when to refer which type of project. Okay, so this is all about the basic introduction towards this training program. I just went in a nutshell, but those who have joined newly for today's session, if you want a detailed understanding about all of these things, that is syllabus and all these details, please refer to the previous video which I have uploaded in the, which I have uploaded yesterday. If you go to my YouTube channel called Learn with Kastro, that video is already uploaded. So you can see this is a video which was uploaded yesterday. Okay, batch 7, session 1. So today's video also will be uploaded in a public, and that will also be shared with you to your email IDs and also to your, to the WhatsApp group. So if you are available in that WhatsApp group, you can get that details from the WhatsApp group. Otherwise, the details will be emailed. The video link and the lecture notes link will also be emailed to you. Right. So with this, let us talk about a build tool, which is Maven. So we'll understand what is Maven, why do we need Maven, and how Maven is helpful for the DevOps engineers. So we'll talk about Maven from the point of view of DevOps engineers. So before I proceed, can you please confirm me once again, are you able to hear my voice properly and the screen is visible?
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So what is Maven and why do we need to use Maven as a DevOps engineer? So basically, Maven is a build tool. Maven is a build tool. Why do we use this build tool? So it is used to create the initial project folder structure. It is used to create the initial project folder structure, which is used to develop the source code of the application. Source code of the application. Mostly, this will be done by developers only, because the main intention of working with Maven for developers is they'll first create the folder structure, and inside that folder, they are going to write the source code of the application. Let's say you want to create, let's say you got some files from your friend through pen drive. So what will we do? Directly, we don't copy into some random location. So instead of copying it to a random location, what we do is we'll create one folder in our laptop or in our system. And into that system, we will copy all the files. We'll name it, we'll name that folder, and we'll copy, paste all the data into that particular folder. Similarly, developers, how they write the code is first they will develop the folder structure by using a Maven tool, and then In that folder structure or in that folder, they are going to write the source code of the application. That is from developer's point of view. Developer's point of view. But as a DevOps engineer, how are we going to use Maven? As a DevOps engineer, how are we going to use Maven? So as a DevOps engineer, we are going to use Maven to build the Java-based projects. Okay, so Maven is also used to build and package, or you can say just build also, to build and package Java-based projects. Java-based projects. This is from DevOps engineer's point of view. DevOps engineer's point of view. But how do we build and how do we package? Or what is meant by build and what is meant by package? That we will try to understand as a DevOps engineer. So here I said Maven is a build tool. So what is meant by build? What is meant by package? And for which type of programming languages we'll use Maven? That we will try to understand first. So based on the programming languages, or language, we have different build tools. What are they? Some of the most popular programming languages are Java, Python, Ruby, .NET. Like this, we have different programming languages where developers will develop the source code of the application. So if you want to build a Java-based project, the most commonly preferred tool or preferred build tool is Maven. For Java-based project, we'll use Maven as a build tool. For Python-based projects, we will use PyBuilder as a build tool. And then for Ruby-based projects, Ruby is a programming language. For that, we will use a build tool which is called as Rakes. And for .NET-based projects, we will use MS Build. Like these, based on the programming language that is used by the developers, we have different build tools. But are these only build tools that we have? No, we have something like Ant, Gradle. Like this, we have different build tools. So let us not go into the details of all of these build tools because that will be covered as part of the training. Like when we deploy a Python application, how to deploy a Python application. When we deploy a Spring Boot application, how will we use? So based on the projects that we are doing, we are going to see how to build and how to deploy that applications, which are developed by using a specific type of language. But as part of today's session, we are going to cover Java-based projects will be built by using Maven. Okay, so to build a Java-based project, we will use Maven as a build tool. Now let's talk about what is meant by build or build process. What is meant by build or build process? But before talking about that, Maven is used for Java-based projects. Okay, Maven is used as a build tool for Java-based project. That is why Maven is also called as Java build tool. It is also called as a Java build tool. Why? Maven is specifically used for Java-based projects. So that's why Maven is also called as Java build tool. And it is completely an open source software. Maven is an open source software and it is available for free of cost. It is free. So which is again getting its prominence in the market because of its open sourceness and the availability at free of cost. Okay. Suppose let's say I have the Java code. Let's say developers has developed a Java code. Let's say you are deploying an application called Hotstar or any application for that matter. Some people are from abroad, so let's keep it as Netflix, which is more familiar for everyone. So let's say you are a developer or developers are developing the code for Netflix-based application. Okay, Netflix-based application. Now what they will do is they will write the code using Java programming language. Okay, they'll use Java or they have used Java and they started writing the code using Java programming language. Right. So now, when they are writing the Java code, the file extensions will be, let's say, Netflix.java. Netflix.java. That is how the extensions will be there. Java files will have .java as an extension. Python files will have .py as an extension. Text files will have .txt as an extension. Word files will have .doc or docx as an extension. Like this, Java projects or Java-based files will have an extension as .java. Now, your responsibility is to, once developers write the code, what they will do is, most of the times, what they will do is, they are going to store the source code in the GitHub repository. They are going to store the source code in the GitHub repository. So what is GitHub? GitHub is a place where we can store the source code of the application. This is what generally developers will follow. Developers will select a programming language. They'll write the code and then testing will be done. So testing is not included here because that's not part of DevOps team. So testing will also be done once developers writes the code. Then once the testing is successfully completed, then they are going to store the source code in the GitHub repository, or I'll keep testing of code. They are going to store the source code in the GitHub repository. Now, this is a developer's work. Okay, this is a developer's task. Developer's task. Now comes the DevOps engineer's task. DevOps engineer's task. So as a DevOps engineer, what we have to do is we have to take the code from GitHub repository. We have to take the code from GitHub repository. Once we take the code from GitHub repository, okay, once we take the code from GitHub repository, since it's a Java-based project, we need to build and package the project. Build and package the project. Once you build and package the project, we are going to get something which is known as artifact. We are going to get something which is known as artifact. I'll let you know what is this in some time. Once you get the artifact, we are going to take this artifact and we are going to deploy in the server. It can be a Tomcat, it can be Docker, or a Docker container, it can be a Kubernetes cluster. Anyway, we are going to deploy it. This is the typical process how we are going to do it as a DevOps engineer. We'll take the code, or before taking the code, we'll create the infrastructure. That means creating of servers, creating of S3 buckets, ST or CPU, or creation of infrastructure. And then we will take the code from GitHub repository. We'll build the code and we'll package the project. Once you build and package, we are going to get the artifact. And then we are going to take that artifact and deploy into the server. Now the question comes here is, why do we need to build and package the code? So need for building and packaging the code. Need for building and packaging the Java code specifically. Okay, so why do we need to do that? And how can we build and package using Maven? Or how we'll take the help of Maven here? Again, as I said, we have the Java code, which is Netflix.java. Now, this Java code is basically available in the human readable format. Correct? You can read the Java code. You may not understand the logic because we are not developers. You may not be able to understand the logics and all, but at least you are able to read it. You will be able to read it. Like, okay, what is there in the first line? What is there in the second line? At least you will be able to read it. So that means this Java file is available in a human readable format. Okay, not correct format. Human readable format. So we will be able to read it. But where we are going to deploy the projects, where we are going to deploy the code in the servers, that is in a machine. It can be an EC2 instance, it can be a physical server, it can be a Kubernetes cluster, Docker container, anything it can be. So we are going to deploy this Java code into the servers or into the machines. But machines cannot understand our language. Whatever language that we read or that we write, machines cannot understand. So what we have to do is, since machines cannot understand our language, we are going to convert the human readable format into machine understandable format. So how are we going to convert the human readable language, which is a netflix.java file, into machine understandable language? So in order to convert the human readable language to machine understandable format, we are going to use Maven. So Maven is used to convert the human readable format, or to convert the code from human readable format to machine understandable format. How are we going to do that? Using Maven. How specifically using Maven? We have something which is called as a Maven goals. We'll talk about that one in some time. So we are converting the .java file, which has a human readable format, into machine understandable format. Now, when you convert using Maven, what will happen to this .java file is the .java file, the .java file will be converted into the .class file. The file extension will change immediately. The .java file will be converted into .class file. You may have 100 .java files. All those 100 .java files will be converted into 100 .class files. And here, the process of converting the human readable format to machine understandable format. The process of converting the human readable format to the machine understandable format is known as compilation. So how are we going to do compilation? We are going to compile the project. Using Maven. We have something which is a Maven goal. Goals are nothing but commands. So which Maven goal we are going to use? We have a goal which is called as mvn compile. If you execute this command, whatever files that are available in the project folder structure, all those .java files will be converted into .class files. And the process of converting the .java files into .class files is known as a compilation. So how will we do the compilation? Using a Maven. Which Maven command we will use? We have a command called mvn compile. So that is how we are going to compile, or we are going to use Maven to compile the projects. Once you compile the project, you are going to get the .class files. Suppose, let's say, you have 100 .java files, and you are going to get 100 .class files. Let's say you have 100 .java files, and then you are going to compile them. You are going to get 100 .class files. Now, how will we deploy these 100 .class files? It's not possible. Taking individual file and doing the deployment into the server, it's very complex process, and it is not recommended to do it. So for this, what we do is we do something which is called as a packaging. Suppose, let's say, you are traveling from your town to some other town, or your friend's place, which is there in another city. So what is the basic thing that we do? Let's say you're traveling, you will be there for 7 days of vacation. So what will you do is, generally, you are going to first identify which clothes you are going to wear during this 7 days of your vacation period. So you have the cloths. But can you carry individual cloth? It's not possible, because that makes complex, and that's not recommended also. So what will we do? We are going to take all those 10 cloths or all those 100 cloths, and we are going to pack in a suitcase, or we are going to pack in a trolley, in a bag, let's say. That process is called as packaging. That process is called as packaging. So what is packaging? Packaging of all the dot class files as a single file is known as packaging. Is known as packaging. So you may have 100 dot class files. Take those 100 dot class files and package as a single bundle. Package as a single bundle. Let's say packaging as a bag inside a bag. That's called as packaging. So how will we do packaging? Using Maven. So we will use Maven. We'll use Maven to package multiple dot class files as a single file. So which Maven goal we will use to package? For that, we have a command which is called as a mvn package. mvn package. Now, when you package multiple dot class files as a single file, this single file should have some name, or the single file should have an extension. So that extension will change based on the type of application that was developed by developers. I'll repeat once again. You are going to package, you have 100 .java files. You are going to convert these 100 .java files into dot class files because machine cannot understand our language. So you are converting into machine understandable language. What is machine understandable language? Binary language, zeros and ones. Once you convert into binary format, then individually deploying all these 100 dot class files or multiple dot class files is a complex process. So for that, we are going to package. So what is packaging? All the dot class files you are going to convert as a single file, like a zip file or a war file, tar file, like this. Okay, you're going to package a single file. So when you package multiple dot class files as a single file, we are going to get, okay, when we package multiple dot class files as a single file, we are going to get artifacts. We're going to get artifacts. So what is an artifact? Artifact is something which is generated when you combine multiple dot class files as a single file. Artifact is something when you combine multiple dot class files as a single file. That's basically called as an artifact. Now, we have different types of artifacts. Okay, we have different types of artifacts. Based on the type of the application, artifacts will change. So generally, we have three types of applications. The first one is called as a standalone application. The first one is called as a standalone application. Second one is called as a web application. Third one is called as a enterprise application. Standalone applications, web applications, enterprise applications. In simple, what is a standalone application? Standalone application is something which is limited to a single device. It is not available for everyone. Let's say in my laptop, I have an application called calculator. I have an application called paint. So this one is in my laptop only. In your laptop, you have your own application, your own paint application. In my laptop, I have my own paint application. So these are dedicated for a single device. They are not available. You cannot share your paint with someone else. It's not possible. This kind of applications are called as a standalone applications. And if you want to work with standalone applications, you don't need internet connection. You don't need internet connection to work with standalone applications. So when developers develop standalone applications, we are going to get the artifact as .jar. That's the extension. Just like how we have .java, .class, we are going to get a .jar. What is jar full form? Java archive. Java archive. That's the full form of jar for standalone application. If it is a web application, you are going to get the artifact with an extension as a .var. That is a web archive. That's web archive. If the developers has developed an enterprise application, you are going to get a EAR, that is a Enterprise Archive. Enterprise Archive. So logically speaking, WAR file and EAR file, they are almost similar. Okay, the WAR file and EAR file, they're almost similar. We will do the same type of deployment, whether it is a WAR file or EAR file. So based on the type of application, you are going to get the artifact. This jar file, WAR file, EAR file is called as a artifacts. So for one project, you will get either a jar file or a WAR file or an EAR file. You don't get all these three files for a single project. Based on the type of application, the artifact will change. Artifact extension will change. Once you get the artifact, okay, once we get the artifact, this artifact will be used to deploy into the servers. To deploy into the servers. Specifically, when we use Java-based projects, okay, for Java-based projects, we will use Tomcat. We will use Tomcat as a web server. So what will we do? We will set up Tomcat, and inside that, firstly, we will launch an EC2 instance. That's what we will do. We'll launch an instance in the cloud. It can be any cloud, but I am focusing on AWS cloud. So we'll launch an EC2 instance in the AWS cloud. And then inside that EC2 instance, we are going to set up Tomcat. Once we set up Tomcat, we are going to take the WAR file and do the deployment. Okay, deployment of WAR file. That's what exactly we are going to do it in some time. Okay, so that is how we can use Maven. Okay, in a simple way, this is how we can use Maven. Right. Now, remember, if you want to work with Maven, okay, to work with Maven, we have to install Java. Without installing Java, you cannot work with Maven. That means you cannot execute Maven goals. So if you want to work with Maven, we have to install Java. Why we need to install Java? Because Maven is a build tool for Java-based applications. So if you want to build a Java-based application, we need to install Java to work with the Maven. That is why I said in the beginning, Maven is also called as a Java build tool. So if you want to work with Maven, Java has to be installed. Without installing Java, you cannot do that. Right. So let's talk about one important concept in Maven, which is called as a Maven goals. It's called as Maven goals. So what is this Maven goal, and how many types of goals do we have? So we majorly have 4 types of goals. We have 5 to 7 types, but that's also called as Maven lifecycle. Maven goals or Maven lifecycle. You can also call it Maven lifecycle. So what are the different Maven goals that we have? The first goal is known as clean. The second one is compile. The third one is test. The fourth one is a package. We have other goals also, so no need to bother about all those other goals. Clean, compile, test, package. We have other thing which is called as install. Like this, we have other goals also, so don't bother about it. So what these goals will do? Goals means commands only. Okay, goals means commands. So before I explain about these Maven goals, we need to understand something which is called as project folder structure. Project folder structure or Maven project folder structure. I have one Java-based project. Okay, this is the Java-based project. I'll give this repository in the notes also. When you are practicing, you can fork this repository and you can work. Let me download this into my local to better explain the folder structure of Maven. Let me just download it. Just give me a second. Or otherwise, we can also talk it here. So let's say whenever developers write the code, okay, they will create the project folder structure. What will be there inside the project folder structure? 2 important things will be available. One is a folder and another one is a file. 2 important things will be available. So Maven project folder structure consists of consists of two important things. What are they? The first one is called as SRC folder. SRC means a source. SRC folder. The second one is POM.xml file. POM.xml file. The full form of POM is Project Object Model. And the full form of XML is Extension Markup Language. Extension Markup Language. So these are the two important things which you will get in any Java-based project. You may get other things also, but without these two, there won't be any Java-based project. You refer any Java-based projects. Without these two, there won't be any project that will be developed by developers. So what will be there inside the source folder or SRC folder? It contains source code of the application. It contains the source code of the application. That means the main code, the Java file, .java file I said, right? If you go inside the SRC folder, if you go inside main, web app, and you see Java-based files are available. Okay, Java-based. You see codes content servlet.java, training info servlet. Some Java files will be available. The code will be written by developers. Okay, that's basically SRC folder contains. POM.xml, it's a file. It is used to add dependencies which are required for the project. Now, what is meant by dependency? What is meant by dependency? Usually developers only will do that, but let us understand in a simple way. What is meant by dependency? Dependency means, let's say you want to construct a house. Okay, you want to construct a house. Now, to construct a house, the most important thing is you need, let's say you need cement. There are other things also, but let's say you need, the most important thing is cement, or material is cement. But just by using cement, can you construct your house? It's not possible. So cement is the main one, the important material. But apart from cement, you need bricks. You need, let's say, aggregates, which basically called as stones. You need sand. You need water. You need multiple other things, right? So here, if you want to construct a house, you need the most important material, which is cement. Apart from this, you need some additional materials also. These additional materials which are required to develop a project are called as dependencies. What is dependency now? Dependencies are something which are required to fully develop an application. It can be any application, Python application, Java application, it can be any application, but without dependencies, we cannot develop a full-scale application. You may develop a small-scale application, but not at a full level, enterprise level, you cannot develop. So dependencies are something which are required to develop the full-scale application. So how are we going to add the dependencies in the pom.xml file? In the pom.xml file. Whatever dependencies that are required to develop the project, developers only will get to know. So developers only will mostly add the dependencies in the pom.xml file. As a DevOps engineer, it's not our duty to work with pom.xml most of the cases, but sometimes we may also have to add the dependencies in the pom.xml file. How to add the dependencies and how to understand the pom.xml file, we'll understand during Jenkins classes. That is from next session, that is on Monday session, we'll understand those things. So I'll not go into the details of this one as of now. So this is about the project folder structure, SRC folder and pom.xml file. You can see if you go to the pom.xml file, this is the file, and you can see the different dependencies which are required for the project. You see, to develop this project, these are all the dependencies that were required. These are all the dependencies that are required. So like this, developers will add the dependencies or will configure the dependencies in the pom.xml file. Right. So now let's go back and understand these goals. Clean. Before talking about clean, compile. What is compilation? Conversion of .java files into .class files is known as compilation. So how do we compile? We have a goal which is called as MVN compile. All Maven goals will start with MVN. Remember that. Okay. So what will happen when you compile? Dot class files will get generated. Where these dot class files will come or will be available? They will be available inside a folder which is called as a target. All the dot class files will be available inside the target folder. A new folder will get created. That folder name will be target. By default, Maven will decide the name. We don't have any control. And then if you want to do any test cases using Maven, we can also perform that by using a command called MVN test. MVN test. What will happen when you do MVN test? Unit test execution will happen. JUnit test will call it as. Unit test execution will happen. That means that using Maven, we can also test the code, but not at a full scale, but it is just a test cases. And then here you got the dot class files. Where the dot class files are available, target folder. Now what you need to do with this dot class files, you need to package them. You may have multiple dot class files. You need to package them. So how do we package? Using a command called MVN package. So when you do Maven package, what will happen? Artifact will be generated. Artifact will get generated. So where those artifacts will be available? Inside the target folder. Artifacts will be available inside the target folder. And then if you want to install that project as a dependency, we'll use a MVN install command. So why do we use MVN install? To install the project, the entire project. If you want to convert that entire project as a dependency, we will use MVN install. But that is not again developers, DevOps engineers part. That's mostly developers part to install the project as a dependency. So compile goal will create a target folder, and inside the target folder will have dot class files. Package goal will generate the artifact, and that artifact will be available in the target folder. Now comes to the clean goal. Clean goal, what it will do is, MVN clean is the command. Clean goal, what it will do is, it will delete the existing target folder. It will delete the existing target folder. Why do we need to delete the target folder? Because we have a dependency inside the target folder. Why do we need to delete that? Because developers will continuously update the code. Whenever developer updates the code, every time the developer updates the code, you have to generate a new artifact. You have to generate a new artifact. When you want to generate a new artifact, you need to delete the existing target folder. What is there in the existing target folder? Artifact is available. You need to generate a new artifact. In order to generate a new artifact, we need to delete the target folder. Once you delete the target folder, then you can execute a MVN compile and then MVN package so that new .class files will be available with updated code and a new artifact will be available with updated code. Now take that updated var file or updated jar file or updated AR file and then do the deployment. That is what Maven goals or Maven lifecycle is. Maven goals or Maven lifecycles. So with this understanding, let us do one deployment into the Tomcat web server. I'll take all your questions at the end, but let me go with the flow so that it will be easy for you to be in the flow. Okay, right. So this is what we are going to do. So I have the Java code already. This Java code, we are going to do the deployment in the Tomcat. So before doing the deployment, let's talk a few details about Tomcat. So what is Tomcat? Tomcat is a web server. Tomcat is web server. So it is a web server which is used to deploy Java-based projects. Okay, it is a web server which is used to deploy Java-based projects. Now, how many ways we have to deploy a project? It can be any project, but how many ways we can do the deployment? So types of deployments. We majorly have two types of deployments. First one is called as a manual deployment, and the second one is called as a automated deployment. As part of this session, we are going to understand how to manually deploy the application into the Tomcat web server. In the Jenkins classes, we'll understand how to automate this process. Manual deployment, nobody prefers in the real-time scenarios. We will go with automation only. But before we move to automation, we need to understand how can we manually deploy the application. And then we'll figure out the problems. What are all the problems that we have if you do the deployment using a manual approach? And then we will move to automated approach. So do we have only Tomcat as a web server? No, we have different web servers like Tomcat, JBoss, WebLogic, WebSphere, Nginx. Like this, we have different web servers and app servers. So I don't go into the details of JBoss, WebLogic, WebSphere, all these things. However, Nginx will also be covered during our Docker and Kubernetes sessions. Okay, so let's not bother about other web servers that we have. Right. So now let's do the deployment of application using a Tomcat or in the Tomcat. And one more important thing here is to work with the Tomcat, we need to install Java. Without installing Java, you cannot work with Tomcat. Why? Tomcat is a web server which is used to deploy Java-based projects. So if you want to deploy a Java-based project, it is mandatory to install Java, and then you can go and install Tomcat. Okay, right. So that is about how to work with Tomcat. And another important aspect is by default, Tomcat will run on port number 8080. That's the default port number of Tomcat. If you want to work with Tomcat, you need to open port number 8080. Without opening port number 8080, we cannot access Tomcat dashboard. And Tomcat is completely free of cost and it is available. It is an open source software. Okay. So Tomcat is owned by Apache organization. Okay. Apache organization owns Tomcat. So that's why we generally call it as Apache Tomcat. Right. So with this, let us go and do the deployment. So first what we will do is, I'll call it as a deployment process. We have the code. Okay. Already the artifact is generated. How to generate the artifacts? You can see the target folder got created. So our artifact is generated. You have the war file readily available. But this war file will deploy first, and then I will show you how to execute Maven codes. Okay, right. So deployment process. So what we will do is developers has kept the code in the GitHub repository, and then I have downloaded this code into my local because we are manual deploying. So downloaded the code into local, and then we will generate the artifact. Once we generate the artifact, we'll get the war file. That war file we are going to deploy in the Tomcat website. But before that, let me tell you one more important thing. You may have multiple artifacts. So to store the artifacts, we have artifact repository tools. So two of the most popular artifact repository tools are Nexus and JFrog. These are the two most popular artifact repository tools. You can also store the artifact in S3 buckets. In AWS Cloud, we have something called S3 service. In S3 buckets also we can store. In Azure, we can do it in Azure storage. Okay, Azure buckets or Azure storage, we can do that also. Okay, right. So let's launch one Linux instance. I'm going to the AWS console. So this is my AWS console. I hope you have an idea about what is AWS and cloud and all these things. So I'm currently there in North Virginia region. You can be there in any region to perform this demonstration. Region is not a factor. So let's go to EC2, okay, because that is where we can launch the virtual machines, that is servers. So click on launch instance, okay, and I'll call this instance as a Tomcat server. Any name you can give, that's an optional, but I'm going with Tomcat server. AMI, that is operating system. I'm selecting Amazon Linux as the operating system, the latest one only. Instance type, I'm going with the free tier eligible instance, which is a t2.micro. Key pair. What is a key pair? If you want to connect to the instance, you need key pair. So if you don't have an idea about what is this key pair, what is this instance and all, if you go to my playlist, there is one playlist called AWS playlist. Yeah, AWS tutorials playlist. Sorry. Yeah, AWS tutorials playlist. Sorry, just a second. Just a second. AWS tutorials. Yeah. So in this AWS tutorials, if you don't have an idea, maybe before you join this training program or before you come to the Monday session, I would highly recommend to watch day 14, day 15, day 16, day 17, and day 18 session. Okay, if possible, try to complete all of these videos. 19 videos are there. Try to complete all of them so that you'll get a basic idea about what is cloud and what is S3 service and what is EC2 service. Okay, so if you have an idea, that's very good. That's fine. But those who don't have an idea, I would highly recommend to go through these videos so that you'll get a fundamental idea. At least go through EC2 service. Instead of S3, go to EC2 service. That is from day 14 to day 19. 5 videos you have. So try to complete these 5 videos. Hardly they'll spin up to some 2 to 2.5 hours of length overall. So try to complete these videos before you come to the next session. So key pair, I'm going to create a new key pair. So let's create a new key pair. So I'll call it as Tomcat server. Okay. And then I'm going to use the PEM file because I'm going to use a mobile XTEM to connect with the server. Okay. If you are going to use a PPK file, you should use a putty and puttygen to connect with the server. Throughout my training programs, I'm going to use PEM files to connect with the EC2 instances. That is by using a third-party tool, which is called as a mobile XTEM. If you are convenient at connecting with Git bash terminal, that is also fine. If you are connecting with the instance using VS Code editor, that is also fine. If you want to connect with the EC2 instance with the putty, that is also fine. If you want to connect directly in the console itself, that is also fine. But I am going to prefer mobile XTEM because that will give a better large interface. That's why. So I'm just creating a key pair. This key pair will be downloaded to your local. So the key pair is downloaded to the local. This key pair we are going to use to connect with the server. Okay. And then network settings, I'm going to go with the default network settings. I'm not going to change anything here. We'll come back and we'll do some changes later. And then storage wise, 8 GB is more than sufficient, but you can use up to 30 GB of storage. So let's go with the maximum, that is 30 GB, and then launch instance. So with this instance will be launched. And once the instance is available, we are going to connect with the instance. So how are we going to connect with the instance? Using a third-party tool, which is called as mobile XTEM. So if you don't have mobile XTEM, directly you can go to browser and you can just download mobile XTEM and install it. It's very simple. Just go to browser and type mobile XTEM download. You will be navigating to this one. Download the free version. Home edition you can download. Once you download, install it. That's as simple as that. So select the server, copy the public IP address of the server, go to mobile XTEM, session, SSH. In the place of remote host, paste the IP address of your server. Username. We have launched a Linux-based instance, so the username will be EC2-user. If you have launched Ubuntu-based instance, you should use a username as Ubuntu. That's why all these details have been clearly discussed in that playlist. So I will share that playlist link also when I'm sending you the email of this demo session. Okay, so please watch that if you don't have an idea. And then select the key pair, select the PEM file which we have downloaded, and then click on OK. So with this, we have connected with the EC2 instance. So whenever you connect to the EC2 instance, it's always recommended to switch to the root user to perform root level activities. So sudo su is the command. It's a Linux command again to switch to root user and then update the packages sudo mupdate-y so that packages will get updated. Now, as I said earlier, if you want to do the deployment in the Tomcat, before installing Tomcat or before downloading and setting up Tomcat, we need to install Java. Without installing Java, it is not possible. That's what we are going to see now. So I'll just keep this one repo URL for reference. Right. So I have updated and then I'm going to install Java 17 version. If you want, you can also install Java 21 version or even 24 version. Okay. I'm installing Java 17 version. Once Java is installed, we are going to verify whether Java has been successfully installed or not by using a command which is called as a Java space hyphen hyphen version. Java space hyphen hyphen version. You can see Java is available. Now what we will do is we will install Tomcat. Now to install Tomcat, we have to download it from the web sources. So to download Tomcat, the page is Apache Tomcat 9 download because Tomcat 9 is the latest version. So click on Apache Tomcat 9. So this link also I'll provide in the notes. So Tomcat download. I'll provide it here so that you can use this when you are practicing. Okay. So that's for Tomcat download. And here you will see something which is called as a tar file. Currently, the latest version is 9.0.111. That's the latest version of Tomcat. So since we are working with the Linux instances, we will get the tar files. If you are working with Windows instance, we'll go with zip files. Ours is a Linux instance, so tar file. So keep the cursor on tar.zz file, right click, and then copy link address. I'll repeat again. Keep the cursor on tar.zz file, right click, copy link address. And then go to the mobile extension. We will use a command called wget to get the files from internet and then paste the URL. This is the URL which we have downloaded, which we have copied. Hit enter so that the tar file will be available. You can see tar file is available or it got downloaded. Now let us extract the tar file. So in order to extract the tar file, the command is tar space -xvf and then tar file name. That's the command to extract the tar file. When you extract the tar file, you will see directory. So this is the tar file and this is the extracted directory from this tar file. So let's go inside this directory. So how can we go inside a directory? CD is the command, change directory and then directory name. So I went inside the directory. Now inside the Tomcat directory, we have folder structure. We have folder structure. Again, I don't go into the details of this folder structure. We will see it in the Jenkins classes. Okay, detailed explanation about the folder structure, we'll see it in Jenkins classes. But to start the Tomcat server or to stop the Tomcat server, we have configuration files inside the bin directory. Bin means a binary. So let's go inside a bin directory. Inside bin directory, we have startup.sh file, shutdown.sh file. Startup.sh is used to start the Tomcat server. Shutdown.sh is used to stop the Tomcat server. SH means a shell file. So if anyone of you don't have an idea about what is shell scripting and all, there is a playlist on my YouTube channel, which is related to shell scripting for DevOps engineers. There are 6 videos that are available. If you are interested, you can watch these videos also. Everything that is essential in shell scripting, the concepts are discussed. Okay, that's again up to your wish, but I'm just letting you know the source. Right. So in order to execute any shell file, we'll use a command /filename. /filename. I want to start the Tomcat server. So to start Tomcat server, we need to execute startup.sh. Hit enter so that you can see Tomcat has got started. Now let us access the Tomcat. So I told you already that is Tomcat will run on a default port number, which is 8080. Somewhere I have written now. Tomcat runs on 8080. That's the port number. So first we need to go and open port number 8080. So go to security and then here you can see security group. So open the security group in a new tab in the browser or in the same tab also, that's fine. And then here we need to edit the inbound rules. So select inbound rules, go to edit inbound rules, add rule. We are going with custom TCP. That's a TCP protocol or TCP type. Port, which port Tomcat will run 8080. And then source anywhere. I want all of you to access my application. So anywhere and then save rules. You can use custom IP also. My IP will be there. That also you can use. Now I have opened port number 8080. Now let's go to instances. and let's get the public IP address of the instance. Copy the public IP address, go to a new tab in the browser, paste it, :8080. Hit enter. You will be able to see the Tomcat home page. This is basically the home page of Tomcat. It's not the admin panel, it's the home page. If you click on server status, you see access denied. Anything, if you click manager app, whatever you click, you will see access denied. That means we don't have authorization to access the admin panel. You can only access the home page, not the admin page. So you can read that here also. You are not authorized to view this page because we don't have the permissions. So how will we get the permissions? So in order to get the permissions, we need to edit two files. First file is context.xml. You can see this context.xml. Second file is tomcat users.xml. Tomcat users.xml. These two files we need to edit in order to access the Tomcat admin dashboard. Tomcat admin dashboard. So let's do that edit. Let's do that edit. So let's come back from the bin directory, cd space ... Now I'm in bin direct. I'm in the Apache Tomcat directory. Inside this, we have the folder structure of Tomcat. Now we need to edit a file called context.xml. This context.xml will be available inside web apps directory. And inside web apps, you have two context.xml files. There are two locations. In those two locations, you have to edit. Because in the previous versions of the Tomcat, we need to edit only one context.xml. But in the latest versions of the Tomcat, that is Tomcat 9.0.110 or 109, from that particular version, we need to edit the context.xml files, which are available in two different locations. Let me show you them. cd space web apps. Inside web apps, we have a directory called manager and host manager. So inside manager, you have the context.xml file. Inside host manager also, you have context.xml file. So first, let's go into manager directory. Inside manager, we have another directory which is called as a meta-inf. This one, meta-inf. So go inside meta-inf. Inside meta-inf, you will have context.xml file. This is the file. So we need to edit this file. So I'm just using VI editor to open that file, VI file name. And here, whatever is there inside this context.xml file, delete everything. So how do you delete everything that is available in a file? Just type %, D, %, D. You can notice at the bottom of the screen, %, D. Hit enter, everything will get deleted. I'll give you one syntax. Take that syntax and paste it as it is in the context.xml file. A detailed explanation about this syntax, we will see it in the Jenkins session because we are running out of time. So I don't want to take more of the time since it's a demo session. So I'll just paste this content, come out of this file, escape, :WQ, save and quit from the file. That is one file which we have edited inside manager directory. Now we need to edit the same file which is available inside host manager directory. So let's come back to the Apache Tomcat directory. Now let's go inside web apps directory once again. And then let's go inside host manager. Inside host manager, we have meta-inf again. Inside meta-inf, we have context.xml. So VI context.xml. Again, delete whatever that is available here. Okay. And then paste this data. Okay. That's a configuration. Don't change these configurations. These changes are essential to access the Tomcat admin dashboard. Escape :WQ, save and quit from the file. Now let's come out of the file. Let's come out to the home directory, which is Tomcat directory. So we have edited the file. Now, in order to access the Tomcat dashboard, we need to configure username and password for Tomcat. Username and password for Tomcat. So where we will configure that username and password? Inside Tomcat users.xml file. Now, where will be the Tomcat users.xml file? Inside conf directory. Conf means configurations. So let's go inside conf directory. Inside conf, you can see Tomcat users.xml. So go inside Tomcat users.xml file. I'm using VI. And then go to the bottom of the screen, complete bottom. just above Tomcat users, go to the insert mode, hit enter. I'll give you the context. I mean, I'll give you the syntax. Copy paste the syntax as it is. Don't change, but detailed explanation will be discussed during Jenkins sessions. So just copy paste the things and make sure the indentations are properly arranged. That's the only thing that you have to take care. Now, one most important thing here is my Tomcat username is admin. My Tomcat password is admin. You can change this username and password as per your convenience. Suppose, let's say if your name is Rahul, you can give the username as Rahul. You can give password as whatever you want. Okay, only these two things you are allowed to change. Rest of the things are all related to configurations. Don't touch these configurations. Okay, very, very essential. Right, let's press escape, :WQ, come out of the file. And remember, whenever you do any changes inside the conf directory, because we have edited context Tomcat users.xml, which is there in the conf directory, it is always recommended to shut down the Tomcat server and to restart the Tomcat server. So how do you shut down? That file will be available in bin directory. So cd space bin. What is that file? Shutdown.sh. How will you execute a shell file? /shutdown.sh. Tomcat has got stopped. Now restart it. /startup.sh. Now Tomcat has got started. Now go to the home page of Tomcat. Earlier, when we were clicking on server status, manager up, these things, we were able to see access denied. Now you should not see that. It will prompt you to enter a username and password of Tomcat. So server status, I'm just clicking on server status. And you see, it is asking us to enter the username and password. What is the username I have given? Admin. What is the password I have given? Admin. So where these configurations were done? Inside the Tomcat users.xml file. This file. I have edited now. Tomcat users.xml. Username is admin, password is admin. If you want, you change that. No issues. So now let's click on sign in. Now you will be able to see the admin panel of Tomcat. So here you can see there is an option called list applications. You will see some default ones, but that is not our intention. We will deploy our own application. So already I have downloaded the source code from my GitHub repository. Okay, so this is the file. I'll just extract this file or this folder. So extract all, extract. And once it is extracted, go inside this one and go inside the src folder. Inside src folder, sorry, not src, inside target folder, you have the war file. Take this war file and deploy it. Take this war file and deploy it. So how do we do that? Firstly, how did we generate this artifact? I have already generated, assuming that you don't have Maven installed or Java configured in your local system. That's why I have installed and configured. I have generated the artifact. But how to generate artifact, all these things, we will see in Jenkins classes when we are talking about Maven goals, because we still have to talk about Maven goals in a better way. Right. So currently I have the war file. Now go to the Tomcat admin panel. If you scroll down, you see there is an option called a war file to deploy. War file to deploy. So select the war file to upload. I have war file in my local now. So click on choose file, and then go to that extracted directory. And then inside extracted directory, target folder, war file is available. Open. Select that, and you see the war file is chosen. And then now click on deploy. But before clicking on deploy, I want you to notice one thing here, that is in the path. In this path, you don't have anything related to my custom application, which is with the name called DevOps Training Portal. That's the war file name. You see that DevOps Training Portal. With this name, you don't have any application here. Now just click on deploy. Now the application will be deployed. Let us wait for a couple of seconds. You see the application has got deployed. Now just click on this one. You will be able to see your application. See this? This is the application which we have. Developers might have written any code. We don't have to bother about the code. We don't have to bother about it. I have written my own code. If you want, you write your own code also. No issues about that. But are we able to do the deployment of the application? Yes. So I'll give the same URL in the chat box also. You can also check and verify whether you are able to access the application or not. I have just pasted that one in the chat box. You can also verify from your end. Can anyone please confirm? Are you also able to access the same application which I'm accessing? If you click on that link, you should also be able to access. Only then I can say I have successfully deployed the application. Can someone please confirm?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. So this is how we can deploy the applications into the Tomcat. But this is a manual process. I have manually selected the WAR file. I have manually built the WAR file. And then I have manually deployed the WAR file. This process is a manual. This is a manual process. What is the problem with manual process? The problem with manual process is, let's say developer has committed some changes into the code, into the SRC folder, developers has made some changes to the code. Now, whenever a developer makes the changes, what you have to do as a DevOps engineer, you have to download this updated code into your local system. And then you have to generate the new artifact. And that artifact you have to deploy into the server. So that means every time whenever developer does a small change also, you have to download the code into local, and then you have to generate the artifact using Maven goals. And then manually you have to go and deploy into the Tomcat web server. That is not a recommended process in real time. So to automate the build and deployment process, we will use Jenkins. So what is Jenkins? Jenkins is an build and deployment automation tool. We can also call it a CI and CD tool, continuous integration and continuous deployment tool. That is what exactly we are going to start from next session. That is from Monday's session. Okay. So now you know how can we deploy the application in a manual way, and you know the problems with manual deployment. And from the next session onwards, we are going to see how to use Jenkins in order to build and deploy the applications. So that is all about how we can work with the Maven and Tomcat. But still, we have few things to discuss with respect to Maven goals, because I have not executed any Maven goals, keeping the time frame into consideration. However, these goals will be discussed during our first day of Jenkins class. Okay, detailed discussion will be made. So that is all from this particular demo session, which I wanted to talk. So this notes on the recorded video will be updated to you via email and also in the WhatsApp group. This video will be uploaded to YouTube also in public mode, and it will be shared with all of you through email and also through WhatsApp group. So before I take your questions, give me a few minutes of time to explain the registration process. So those who wants to join the training program, that is from Monday onwards. Mostly I'll try to start on Monday. Otherwise, I'll start on Tuesday. 95% I'll try to start on Monday. If that 5% is not possible, I go with Tuesday. But for sure, at any cost, the Tuesday session will start. If Monday it is not starting. 95% I'll try to start on Monday. But if it is not possible, please bear me with one extra day. That is because I have some other commitment. I'm assuming that my work will get finished before 5 o'clock on Monday. If it gets finished, for sure, I'll start sessions from Monday itself. But by any chance, if it is not getting finished, please bear that Monday session. Monday thing. From Tuesday, we are going to start, however, regularly. Okay, right. So that's one thing which I wanted to keep. But anyway, the fee for this training program is 7,000 rupees. If you want to do it in single installment, if you want to do it in 2 installments, you can pay installment 1 as 4,000 rupees. That is before 3rd November, that is Monday, on or before 3rd November. But don't pay like half an hour or 1 hour before the session, because to give access to add you in the WhatsApp group, it all need some time. So try to complete the payment before Monday itself, as much as possible. Before Monday, you do it, or otherwise by Monday afternoon, you try to do it. Okay, by Monday afternoon, you try to do it, because I have to add you in the WhatsApp group. I have to give you few information, few details about that. So for that reason, please avoid last minute payments. You can do it, but try to avoid, because immediately I'll have a session at 5 o'clock, and then I might not be able to reach you if you send it 5 minutes or 10 minutes before starting of the session. So please keep that into consideration as a request. So 2 installments you can do, that is a 4,000 on or before 3rd November, and the second installment is again 4,000, which will be paid after 7 days of start of the training. That is, if you start the session on 3rd, the 7 days will become 10th. 7th day will be 10th. Okay. So before 10th, you have to do the payment on or before payment. And every day the classes will be at 5 o'clock to 6:30, or otherwise 5:30 to 7 p.m. Any one timing will be fixed, but apart from these two timings, we will not have any other timings. So timings will be fixed. Either 5 o'clock to 6:30 or 5:30 to 6:30. Now 5:30 to 7 p.m. So every day 1.5 hour of session will be there. Some days we might go beyond 1.5 hour, like let's say 1 hour 40 minutes, 1 hour 45 minutes, something like that. So please keep that buffer time of 10 to 15 minutes additionally, at least not in the beginning days, but when we advance to the deeper concepts of the tools. And the sessions will be from Monday to Friday. Sometimes we might have to work on weekends also, because when we do some projects, we need some more time. So in that case, 90 minutes may not be sufficient. We might need sometime 2 hours, more than 2 hours also is required. So such kind of scenarios comes, I'll let you know well in advance so that you can plan your own things well ahead. And the complete duration of this training program is 50 to 55 days. So at any cost, I'll try to finish by 50th day. If it is not possible, it will go to 55 days. That's a maximum count. So most probably I'll try to finish by the end of December or by January 2nd. Okay, by January 2nd. I'll try. I kept that deadline, keeping one of you has said in the yesterday's session that to apply for jobs, it's better if you finish it before December itself. So I'll try to finish max to max. I'll try to finish by January 2nd. That's the maximum deadline. But if any extension comes, max to max before first week of January, we'll finish the entire course. That's for sure. There won't be any extensions beyond the first week of January. Okay, so 50 to 55 working days will be the total duration of this training program. And those who are interested, please complete your payment to this number, which is again my WhatsApp number as well as PhonePe or Google Pay number. And once you complete the payment, please send the screenshot of the payment along with your WhatsApp number and email ID, because I'll use your WhatsApp number to add you into the dedicated WhatsApp group, and I'll use your email ID to send you the notes and all these details. Okay. Already there are a couple of people who has made the payment. Those who has already made the payment, and if you are there in this session, you will also be added to the WhatsApp group on Monday morning or Sunday late evening. Because once the number of students gets finalized, then I'll create a WhatsApp group and then I'll add you into the WhatsApp group. So those who have already paid, so I have already given you the confirmation message through WhatsApp. So, but I will be adding you to the WhatsApp group on Sunday late evening or on Monday by afternoon. And all the communications, once you are added to the WhatsApp group, all further communications will be happening through that WhatsApp group only. Okay, there won't be any further mail communication. Everything will happen through WhatsApp group only. And as I said earlier, the recorded videos, lecture notes, everything, like including the AML files, Jenkins files, Docker files, commands, Kubernetes AML files, Terraform scripts, every file, whatever that we use in the live session, it will be shared with all of you. There is no doubt in that. And along with that, the interview questions, the mock interviews, all these things will also be conducted. That was discussed as part of yesterday's session itself. But to just show you one detail, just give me a second. I'll stop the screen sharing and then I'll share the screen. Just give me a moment. I just wanted to show you how I have followed for the previous batch so that you'll get one clarity about notes and all these things. Yeah. Just give me a moment. I'll just share the screen. Yeah. So you can see the batch 6 notes. Okay, JDK batch 6 nodes. It should be JDKT, that is Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, and Terraform. You see Docker, Jenkins, Kubernetes, Terraform. So in Docker, all the Docker files are available. I mean, the documents are available. You can see 9 days the sessions went. And Jenkins, you can again see it went for 8 days. And then Kubernetes, you can see the each day notes is available. Okay. And along with that, the Kubernetes YML files are also available. Projects are also available. You see 3 projects I said, right? So these 3 projects for the previous batch. And Kubernetes YML files. You see day-wise YML files will be shared with you. If you go to each day, YML files are available. In each day, multiple YML files will be available based on the topics that we are discussing on that day. And coming to the Terraform also, we'll have the similar structure. So if you go to Terraform directories, Terraform scripts are available and Terraform nodes is also available. You see 8 days it went for Terraform, and Terraform scripts, day-wise scripts also will be available. So like this, in a detailed way, each and everything will be shared along with you. And along with that, the WhatsApp notifications related to the interview questions, related to the mock interviews, related to any job notifications, everything will be shared with you in through the WhatsApp communication. Okay, so that is all from my end. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take your questions. Thank you once again for sparing this extra 4 or 5 minutes of time. However, we have started 5 minutes late. Instead of 5 o'clock, we started at 5:05. But still, I would say thank you to all of you to join. I mean, who has joined yesterday and today. Even if you are not joining the regular sessions, at least I assume that today's session and yesterday's session were helpful to you to know at least something which you might not have known, or maybe you might have known, but in a little advanced way, probably. Right. Thank you all. Thank you once again. So I'll be open to take your questions now. Meanwhile, let me terminate the instance. Yeah. Any questions for anyone?
Sir, I have done the payment. Can you just check if you have received it? I've also sent you the screenshot.
Yeah. I'll confirm it once the session is done.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, sure.
Sir, in our course, will there be any part of the Ansible, the configuration management?
No, Ansible will not be discussed as part of this training, but for the previous batch, that is batch 5, I have discussed Ansible. So Ansible is discussed for 6 days. So if you want, you can get these 6 days of recorded videos. So the same thing is also available. I mean, if you want to know the syllabus of Ansible, what we have discussed, what project we have discussed, you can go to this website called Learn with Kastro. And inside that, you can go to self-paced learning. And here you can find Ansible, which will be given for 1,500 rupees, and the total duration is 9 hours. And if you want to see more details, click on more details, and you will be able to see the complete things, whatever that were discussed in Ansible.
Okay.
And can also
Are we going to?
Can one by one? Yeah, someone has asked.
Yeah, so I was talking about the PayPal. If that's.
Yeah, you have already made the payment.
No. I'm going to. So I need the PayPal information from you, please.
Yeah. Can you please ping me on WhatsApp once, because I'll send you the PayPal link.
Okay. Will do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Fine. Thank you. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah. Are we also going to learn basics of Python?
No, Python will not be covered as part of this training. No, not the basics also.
Okay. Do we have any Python paid course? Like
there is no paid course as of now, but I'll see. Like, or at least I'll try to give any existing videos through YouTube channels, whichever I have learned through during my initial days of career. I'll give those videos if you. I mean, I'll recommend those YouTube channels to go through them.
Yeah.
If possible, try to ping me on WhatsApp once the session is done, so that I can I can share you those links.
Sure. Thanks.
Any other questions for anyone?
Yeah, in the current market situation, Ansible also needed to learn.
Yeah. It is required. It is required. Jenkins, I mean, you need to start the understanding from, I mean, if you want to learn DevOps tools, Git, I mean, the basics is Linux. You need to learn Linux, Git, GitHub, and then Maven, Tomcat, Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, Terraform, Ansible. These are the 10 to 12 tools which you have to learn. But beyond that, if you learn any other tools also, that would be an additional advantage, like Istio, uh, any other tools like Splunk, Zira, like this, that would also be an additional advantage. But whatever the 10 tools that I have mentioned, those are standard tools, which they won't get replaced as of now, which is there in the market. It's good if you learn Ansible also.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions for anyone?
And is it possible to include the Ansible in this course also? Or do we need to take that separately?
You can take the previous batch videos, because in the previous batch itself, I have covered the advanced ones. I mean, whatever that is required in Ansible that I have covered. But again, I will see the time frame, and also I'll see how many students will be able to register to the training program. I mean, the Ansible sessions. If more than 10 to 12 students are coming, then I'll definitely take the live session itself. Because at least 10 students are required. If more than 10 students are coming, then I'll definitely let you know.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
One last question from my side.
Yeah.
We will also get the various of Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, and everything, right?
Yes, yes. Including notes, and that's what I have mentioned. No? Recorded videos and lecture notes will be shared with you.
All right, thanks.
The current batch, whatever the batch that you are joining now, this batch videos you will be getting.
Okay.
Kiran, any notes or any students from the following batches that you had in the past? Has been any success stories with jobs in the market currently that's going on right now?
Yeah, if you want to see that, there are a couple of people which I'll share that link. Those who have got the, the job, those who have got into the jobs, I'll share you those details. If you want, I'll share those numbers also. Maybe you can have a talk with them as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Hi, Kiran.
Yeah, hi. Please.
Like, after completing the course, like how much experience we can mention in the resume?
I mentioned in the last session, at least 4 to 5 years you can mention. That's the maximum, not at least, maximum 4 to 5 years you can mention. I believe I have mentioned that somewhere in yesterday's session, but maybe this 4 to 5 years you can give that. That's my guarantee. 3 years minimum you can give, a maximum of 5 years you can. I have mentioned this.
One follow-up question. Sorry,
go on. Go on, Girish, you can go on.
Yeah.
So, Girish, please. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, I forgot the question. You can go ahead.
Okay, fine, no issues. If you get the question back again, you can ping me on WhatsApp also. I'll respond to you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, Girish. Just a follow-up question. Just because once the employer actually does the interview, they do the follow-up background checks, right? How can we bypass that if we show the experience, right?
Yeah.
Just wanting to know how can we do that, because it has happened in the past where the background check and then they deny the employment after that.
Correct. Yeah, as I said in the last session, that since it's a recorded video and it will be going to YouTube, so I cannot tell those details here, but we'll have one session, probably on weekend we'll have one session, and we'll have a discussion related to these kind of activities or these kind of things probably on one weekend, maybe on Saturday or Sunday, we'll sit for 1 hour. Maybe those who are interested, they might join that session. I'll let you know. We can plan it accordingly, that one.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Kiran, do we need to complete any certification before we start giving interview? Like, do we need to have any certification for this?
It's good if you have a certification, but just because you have a certification, that doesn't guarantee any jobs. But I would say it's good. I mean, it's recommended or it's required also to have a certification. At least the AWS level, you can have AWS Solution Architect certification. Don't go with AWS Fundamentals. Go with AWS Solution Architect. If you are good at Kubernetes, go with Kubernetes CKA certification or CKED or any other advanced certifications also. And if you are good at Terraform, you can go with Terraform certification also. These are, if you are good at any other clouds like Azure, GCP, you can go with those certifications also. It's good if you have the certifications, at least any one cloud certification, Kubernetes certification, if you have, that adds a better weightage to your resume.
So we will be able to complete those certifications after this training, or we need more practice and
No,
training for this
as far
to
as
complete.
this training is concerned, it will purely focus on how the things will work in the real-time scenarios. But especially if I talk about Kubernetes, whatever theory that is required for Kubernetes certification, that will be discussed for sure. I mean, it will be part of the regular trainings only. But you need to know more theory when you go with Kubernetes, and you need to know, I mean, more concepts, like wide range of theoretical concepts you need to know. But however, almost 70 to 80% of the CKA syllabus will be covered as part of the training. But the primary focus of this training is to make sure that whatever that is done in the real time, that will be focused at a primary level. At certification level, the concepts will be touched. The theoretical parts will be touched and demonstrations will also touch. I'll give a comparison. Once we go to Kubernetes module, I'll give a comparison like what is the syllabus for CKA certification or any CKA related certifications. And then I'll give a comparison between my syllabus so that you'll get an idea about whether how much percentage of syllabus is covered in this training program with respect to the CKA certification syllabus.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Kiran, one question.
Yeah.
Out of this syllabus, right, 55, 60 days, it'll be 4 huge topics will be discussed by you, of course. And from our part, we should review those notes and rewatch the videos,
Yeah.
of course, at least from my point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But even after that, right, 100% is not possible in 2 months. The only experience you will probably get, like in my, this is what I think is when you actually work in the real world, right? You have
that's quite
muscle.
True. It's very obvious.
Yeah. So see, so like out of this course and be able to perform well in interviews, how much do you recommend, like the percentage of how we should really comprehend, even after watching your sessions every day, at least maybe, the live session once and then maybe the recorded after that, the same day, just to keep, making sure that we meet every criteria to actually deploy an application or things like that.
Yeah,
So
correct.
how much percentage do you think we should be able to, in 2 months
Pull
accommodate
off the
this?
interviews.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would say, I mean, I cannot say the exact percentage, but it depends on the role that you are applying for. Suppose, let's say if you are applying for a junior DevOps engineer role, for sure, whatever that is discussed in this training program, it is much beyond the junior DevOps engineer role. If you are applying for senior DevOps engineer, let's say 8 years, 7 years, 9 years of experience, like SREs or senior DevOps engineer, this session, this training will cover probably 70 to 80% of what is available with 8 years experience candidate. I mean, the skill set, what is available with 8 years experience candidate. And if you are applying for much higher roles, let's say 12 years, 13 years roles, or cloud architects, cloud advocates, these kind of roles, technically, we are not covering any cloud aspects here. So obviously, if you are applying for cloud architect roles or cloud advocate roles, this training is not a better match because cloud architect will focus mostly on cloud. They don't work on DevOps tools. They will architect the diagrams and they'll give the infrastructure setup. Accordingly, we need to set up the infrastructure. So for example, that's what we'll discuss in Terraform also, like AWS architecture, if I do. So we'll get the architectural diagrams. So these architectural diagrams will be designed by the cloud architects. So cloud architects are someone who is having, let's say, 8 years, 9 years, more than 9 years of experience. So to design this kind of architectures, obviously, you need to have a better command with AWS cloud or any other cloud for that matter.
Oh, okay. Got it.
This kind of architectures we are going to take from Google sources, and then we are going to do the deploy. I mean, we are going to create the infrastructure using Terraform. That we will do as part of Terraform.
Got it. No, even like just for like maybe 5 years experience, I think it should be sufficient for me because a lot of the jobs now right now I see is 3 years, 5 years. For mid-level.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And Kiran, is there any sessions on resume building and building the Naukri profile and LinkedIn profile?
Yes, I mentioned that in the yesterday session. We'll have one session on resume and we'll have one session on, 1 or 2 sessions on resume building and optimization and even GitHub profile optimization also. Like, let's say if I go to
lifetime access, right?
Yes.
Yep.
If you go to my GitHub profile, you can see I have made a similar profile which relates to my particular thing. So you can make this kind of profiles. So how to create this kind of profiles through LinkedIn and to GitHub and also to the resume that will be discussed as part of the training.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So if you don't have any questions, we can close the session. So this is the fee structure, but if you get any questions related to the payment, please ping me before you complete the payment or before you do the payment so that if you get any doubts or if you have any doubts, I'll try to clarify them. Once your doubts are cleared, then you can proceed for the payment. So thank you all. Thank you once again. I'll share these payment details also to your email and to in the WhatsApp group as well. So thank you all. I hope I will be able to see all of you in the regular training sessions, which will be happening from either Monday or from Tuesday. Mostly from Monday only, but if it doesn't permit, as I said, we'll go with Tuesday. So Praveen has asked jar file directly we are installing, so we don't need to copy folder structure as it contains form.xml. Yeah, we'll talk about that, Praveen, because today we have just discussed about war files. We need to discuss about jar files also. We'll talk about that, Praveen, in the next sessions. Yeah. If you don't have any questions, like you can please leave the session. Thank you all. Thank you once again.
Sir, we can request for the previous batch, the Ansible videos,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Okay.
yes, you can.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Aditya. Thanks for that. Okay, see you all. Thank you once again.